I never imagined a birthday could cut this deep. Not the kind of pain you feel from a bruise or a broken bone, but the kind that sinks into your chest and makes your own heart feel foreign. I can still recall the exact moment it struck me, the way she looked at him. It wasn't just a passing glance. It lingered, sharp, almost mischievous, as though they were sharing a secret only the two of them understood. And the cruelest part? That was supposed to be me. I was supposed to be the one she locked eyes with that way. The one she saved those private smiles for. It was my 38th birthday. I'd cleared my schedule, picturing a quiet day at home, just the two of us. A simple breakfast, maybe candles on a small cake, and an evening spent talking and laughing like we once did. I even pictured her face lighting up when I handed her the lilies she loved, the warmth of her hand brushing mine when I kissed her cheek. But reality hit me like a bucket of ice water the moment I walked into the cafe she insisted on for brunch. She was already seated, across from a man I barely recognized. Later she claimed he was from her yoga class, but the comfort between them twisted my stomach into knots. "Happy birthday, love," she chirped when she spotted me, flashing a bright smile. But behind that sweetness was a spark I couldn't place, something I'd never seen in her eyes before. "Thanks," I muttered, forcing a smile as I slid into the chair across from her. My hand itched to reach for hers, but she never offered it. Instead, she leaned forward, laughing at something he said, tilting her head in that way I used to adore. Now it only made my chest tighten. And then the touch. Not accidental, not casual, her hand on his arm, her laughter carrying a warmth meant for him and not me. I swallowed hard, staring at the untouched pancakes on my plate, my appetite gone. "I got you something," she said suddenly, pushing a small box across the table. My heart tripped. Maybe this was her way of making it right. "Open it," she urged. Inside was a delicate bracelet, our initials etched into the metal. I should have felt moved, but instead an odd mix of rage and despair welled up inside me. Because even as she gave me that gift, her eyes kept flicking toward him. The man who wasn't me. The man who had taken what I thought would always be mine. I held the bracelet heavy in my palm, forcing a laugh that never fully formed. "Do you like it?" she asked, voice too casual, like she'd rehearsed it. "It's nice," I muttered, my throat tight. And then she leaned toward him again, whispering, her fingers brushing his. That's when something inside me cracked wide open. The day I thought would be full of warmth turned into a brutal reflection of how little I mattered to the woman I'd trusted with everything. We left the cafe soon after. The car ride home was painfully silent except for her humming along to the radio, as if nothing had happened. I wanted to speak, to ask, to scream, but every word was caught between fury and heartbreak. Later, at home, I finally confronted her. I'd rehearsed my lines 100 times on the drive, but when I opened my mouth, what came out was raw and stripped down. "Who was he?" I asked, my voice low, strangled. She froze, her smile slipping. For the first time that day, her eyes met mine fully. I saw guilt there, but also something harder, something stubborn. "It's nothing," she said with a dismissive wave. "You're overthinking." Overthinking. I let out a bitter laugh. "You laughed at his jokes like I wasn't even there. You touched him. You flirted with him while I was sitting right beside you, trying to celebrate my birthday." Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. For a moment, I thought she might deny it, try to soothe me with lies. But then she whispered the words that shattered me. "I can't help it sometimes," she said, her voice trembling just enough to cut me deeper. "I feel alive with him. I don't feel that way with you anymore." Each word landed like a fist to my gut. But strangely, in that devastation, clarity bloomed. The woman I had built my life with had already left me long before this day. And on my birthday of all days, she'd chosen to show me the truth. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Not yet. I simply stood, walked to the bedroom, and steadied my shaking hands. "I think you should leave," I said at last, my voice calm despite the storm raging inside me. "What?" she asked, eyes wide. "You heard me. Leave. Take him, or don't. But I can't stay here watching you choose someone else while pretending I'm enough." Her face drained of color. "You're overreacting. It's just a fling, just a moment." "No," I cut in, voice firm, trembling with something unfamiliar but resolute. "It's not just a moment. You've been betraying me quietly for months. Today I finally saw it in the open. And that's enough. I'm giving you the gift of goodbye." She stared at me, shock shifting to fury. "Goodbye? You can't just." "I can," I said, locking eyes with her. "And I am. I've loved you longer than I should have. I've given more than you ever deserved. But this is my birthday, my life, my heart. And I'm done letting you play with them." I packed a small bag, my hands unsteady but determined. Each shirt I folded, each item I placed inside, felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. She didn't stop me. She didn't beg. She didn't even apologize. She only watched in silence as I walked out, leaving the bracelet behind on the dresser, a cruel reminder of what we once were. I didn't call anyone, didn't go anywhere. I just drove, aimlessly, city lights smearing into streaks of neon through my tears. I thought of our past, the dinners, the vacations, the laughter that once filled our home. And finally, I cried. Not for her, not for the betrayal, but for the man I once was, the man who believed love could fix anything. Weeks passed. I swung between anger and grief, between aching memories and quiet solitude. Friends reached out with sympathy and advice, but I knew the healing had to come from me. Then came the day in court. She'd filed for divorce almost immediately, almost casually, as if erasing me from her life was no harder than tossing aside an old book. She stood there with him, hand in hand, laughing softly like nothing had ever happened. The pain stabbed fresh, but this time it didn't cage me. I wasn't desperate. I wasn't trapped. I was free to grieve, free to rebuild, free to take back my life. When the judge finalized it, she glanced at me one last time. I don't know what she saw, regret, sorrow, or maybe the man I had become. Stronger, steadier, untouchable. I left quietly, years of weight lifting from my shoulders. That night, I poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat by the window, and let the city lights wash over me. For the first time in months, I felt peace. The bracelet still lay in the drawer. I never threw it away. I didn't need to. It no longer symbolized loss. It marked the moment I chose myself. The moment I refused to be second best in my own life. Life began to move again. Slowly at first, then faster. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months. I learned to laugh again without guilt, to find joy without fear. I met new people, built new friendships, even let myself dream of love again. Not the blind, reckless love I once gave her, but a love that respected me as much as I respected it. Her betrayal lingered in memory, yes, but it no longer ruled me. Because I had given her goodbye. And in return, I'd given myself freedom. That year, I realized birthdays aren't about candles or cake. They're about reflection. About who you are and who you want to become. And mine taught me the hardest, truest lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest gift isn't the one you receive, but the one you give yourself.